So, welcome back, everyone, to another incredible episode of Chat with Dan here for today on the show. What can I say? I'm literally speechless. We haven't even started yet. We have the best morning, the best way to start up a Wednesday because we have on the show the incredible, the amazing, the badass, the superstar, the legendary, the one and only, the incredible Laura. Laura, how are you today?
I'm very good. Thank you. Weather is nice. We are, I think, finally getting back to a few summer days. So I'm very good. Thank you. I hope you're good too.
Of course, what better way to have an incredible, super badass day, morning, yeah, than to be chatting with someone as badass as you. You know what I mean?
Yes, I totally know what you mean.
I love it. Now, if you are new to the channel, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, follow, it helps a lot. But also, on the description below, you're gonna find all of Laura's social media. Let's follow her, let's find out why she's super badass. And without further more, let's jump in. So, I wanna start this whole conversation by throwing out the first question, which is what was the moment when you knew this was more than a passion, that acting had become, let's say like your purpose somehow?
Well, it's been my dream since I can remember, which I had put aside for a few years when I started studying, doing something completely different, focusing on what society supposed to be the best way for me or my family, especially like some parts of my family, to study something and have a job, a 9-to-5 job, and do what everybody else does, basically. And I think the moment I knew this was my purpose was when I had everything that, like I had every box checked that society expects for us to have. And I was deeply, deeply unhappy and depressed and realized that this is not what makes me happy, even though it's what everybody expects of me to have. And I remembered that acting was in my head, in my mind, for as long as I could think. And when I started again, the moment I knew this was what I was supposed to do was when I was in front of the camera for the first time after many years, and my mind completely shut off. I wasn't thinking anything, overthinking anything. I was just relaxed. I was in the moment and I was absolutely, utterly happy and content.
Okay, I like it. And once you decided, right, this is gonna be my passion, like all of that, what were some of those first challenges, right? It happens to all of us whenever we start something, right? That we have like this kind of a learning curve. So what was those challenges for you as you were starting to make it as a pro career?
I think mostly other people, especially people not working in this field, especially family members who didn't understand why I was giving up what I already had. And yeah, I think I always call them small minded people, those small minded people who don't understand why you have a very specific, certain dream that may look unreachable, but you want to do it anyways. And they kind of try to take it away from you. And yeah, I think that was the biggest challenge, actually. It was my former employee, it was a lot of people in my family who were always trying to rain on my parade. So, yeah, I think that was the biggest challenge.
Okay. And how do you prepare emotionally for, like for a character? Do you have like a specific ritual? Like what is your thing here?
Well, I always have a playlist for every character fitting to the role and the emotional state that character is in. I also love to prepare with specific acting methods, but mostly to get in that emotional state. It's a playlist that works for me very well, and just finding something in my life that resonates with what the role is going through, finding a connection, so to call it, and yeah, working from there, so having something that I can connect with.
Pretty good. I'm starting to discover why you're badass. You're saying. Just saying
Thank you.
here. And in your experience, does becoming a great actor require breaking yourself down or building something entirely new?
I would say building something entirely new while also being able to be vulnerable and open. I think it's you can't ever compare one actor to another or one approach to another. I think it's always very individual, but I think that's why it's always something new that you have to build. But you always have to also be able to be vulnerable and open up emotionally to also have the audience be captured by what you're doing.
Do you believe acting heals, or can it sometimes reopen wounds that we thought were closed?
I think both, honestly, because if you're too close to, for example, what the role is experiencing, and if it's something too close to home, what you may have not yet healed, maybe a trauma, maybe something even you have no idea that happened in your life, and suddenly it comes like back up in your mind, it can be very triggering and it can be something that can open old wounds. That's why also my acting coach always says, don't use something out of your like experience or your own pain that can still cause you to be triggered or hurt. Take something that you're comfortable with exploring again. So I always choose moments in my life where I'm like, okay, I was very hurt in that moment, but it's not something that triggers that pain as bad as it was back then. So I think it can open old wounds, but it's also very healing, especially when you learn stuff about yourself. You get to know yourself better by working through a character, or also being comfortable in your body and in yourself, doing something that may is outside of your comfort zone. So I think it can also be very healing.
Did that ever happen to you? You know that you had a role that reopened a wound or a role that somehow healed something?
I think every role that I play somewhat heals me in the way that I'm doing what I love and what makes me happy. So it's definitely still a healing process since I started properly professionally doing it 2.5 years ago. After my depressive episode back then, I think it still has these healing powers. But I gratefully never had a moment where it triggered old wounds. I think most of the things that happened in my life, I have healed already. Bad experiences that I have worked through them already. So
Yeah, did you ever have like a role that exposed a truth about yourself that you weren't ready to face?
No, not a role that I that opened like or showed me a part of myself that I wasn't ready to face yet. But I definitely had this experience where a director who I worked with and talked to about the fact that I got a lot of villain roles and I get cast as the villain a lot of the times. And he told me, "Well, yeah, it's you just have this face that calls for the bad girls." And I was like, okay, I like this. I just had no idea until I noticed that I get cast as the villain a lot. And when he told me that, that was his first impression of myself, not in a bad way. He was like, "You're still a great person, but you have that face for the bad girls." And since then, I really appreciate this part of myself. And I really love playing the villain.
What's something about the craft of acting that people outside the industry deeply misunderstood or overlook?
I think a lot of the times people overlook how hard it is to get a foot in the door in this industry. A lot of the times people are like, yeah, how hard can it be to be in front of the camera, or how hard can it be to act in general? I think a lot of the times people also underestimate how hard acting itself is. And I think what people always overlook is when I tell people who are not working in this industry that I'm an actress, they're always like, oh, where have I seen you? And especially in the beginning, I'm like, well, so far, nowhere, because every actress or actor starts with short films or under like other indie projects that are not shown anywhere, commercially released or anything like that. And a lot of the times people are like, oh, have you been on TV or in the movie theater? In what movie have you been on Marvel? And I'm like, no, no. That I think a lot of the times people are like jumping ahead of themselves and their expectation of what it means to start in this business and how long it actually takes to be in a show or a movie that they can actually watch somewhere.
Mhm. Do you think somehow this misconception is caused by the media? You know, because they're giving like this idea, right? That unless you are on a red carpet, right, the Oscars or something like that, right? That is when you really make it.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it definitely created by media. Also, especially for example, let's take example Pedro Pascal. He's very like he's a thing right now in Hollywood, and I also love him, of course. But a lot of the times on red carpets, when interviewers ask him, "Hey, how does it feel to have your breakthrough. And he's like, I've been doing this for 17 years. And nobody knew about him years before he did Game of Thrones or music video for Sia or anything like that. And he's like, that's what people, I think, underestimate, because the media makes it look like that actor just has his breakthrough role, and they make it look like they just started 2 weeks ago, when in real life they started 17, 20 years ago and worked their way up without being noticed by anyone. So I think media definitely makes it look like, oh, you start and then boom, there you are on the red carpet, but it's actually a way more complicated and complex process. That's why I also think winning an Oscar is not the moment where you made it in this industry. Of course, it's a reward that every actor and actress would be gladly appreciating if they got an Oscar, of course. But that's why also a lot of people are underestimating this field of work, because there are so many great actors who have never even probably been invited to the Oscars, who are constantly working, and sometimes they are being overlooked because they are not playing the big roles, they're not at the Oscars, they're not winning the awards, but they're working. And I think maybe that's also the answer to your question. Just winning an Oscar is not the ultimate goal. I think the ultimate goal should be that you are able to live off of acting, that you're able to do the parts and roles and choose the parts and roles that you are comfortable with, that you love. And yeah, working with great and inspiring people, even if it doesn't mean that you're commercially successful so the whole world knows you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, how do you stay grounded in an industry that constantly asks you to either reinvent yourself or sell yourself?
I think the benefit of having started later in life, since I'm already a bit older and already have lived a life before, that made me feel grounded, because I had to work very hard for everything before already, and now I'm in an age where I'm not so easily, not just impressed, but not so easily being emotionally manipulated, because I already have some experience. I think that's what helps me to stay grounded. My experience, the fact that I know what I want and I know what I'm capable of and I know where my boundaries are. So I'm not selling myself for anything that I'm not comfortable with. And I'm capable of saying no because I'm not afraid of rejection.
Have you ever turned down a role because it didn't align with who you are and who you are becoming?
Yes, definitely. Especially in indie projects. Sometimes I feel like, even though it's just a first impression, when I get a script and it calls for a lot of nudity or sexual interaction, where I feel like it's not called for and it doesn't help the story in any way. I was offered a role that had some extreme nudity and extreme violence, very gory violence, and I didn't really see that necessary for the script. So I turned down the role because I didn't feel comfortable, because it's an indie production. So it's also a lot of more risks that you take with indie productions where there's a lot of nudity, because it's in big productions you're often having like people on set who are taking care that it looks good. But with an indie production, I think a lot of the times, maybe I also did them wrong by assuming something like that, but a lot of the times it does not look tasteful.
Do you think setting boundaries, it is something that you absolutely need to do even when you're starting out, or something that perhaps you should be starting to do it once you are at least been doing for a while? You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. I think it's a great question, because I've also been talking about this with a friend who's also working as an actress a few weeks ago. Because, of course, when you're in the beginning working, it's harder to set boundaries because you don't want to say no, you don't want to turn down roles, you don't want to be in anyone's bad, you know what I mean? You don't want anyone to be mad at you or talk bad about you because you set a boundary that in your opinion was completely legitimate, but in their opinion probably not. So it's definitely harder in the beginning, but I think you should set boundaries from the beginning on. Not even, doesn't even matter where you are in your career, because when people notice that you don't set boundaries and you don't say no, they take a lot of the times, not always, of course, but a lot of the times they can take advantage of that. And since I noticed that this field of work even though there are so many actors and directors and DOPs, it's still a small world, a small circle, and people always know other people that you already work with. People can talk and maybe talk about you in a negative way. Oh, that person, you can literally do whatever you want. She won't say anything. So that's a risk. Of course, it's also a risk you have to take when you set a boundary that somebody won't work with you again. But I think if it comes to a point where you have to set a boundary and that isn't respected by the other person, I'm always saying, okay, then that's not the right person for you to work with. And everyone who has a good character will question if that person is talking badly about you. And if they don't question what that person is talking about you, you don't want to work with them either. So I stopped worrying what other people think about me. I have my boundaries. I'm professional. I'm always respectful. And if that isn't aligned with their behavior, then I don't want to work with them.
Hmm. Yeah, I think there is this kind of line, right, that people still kind of misunderstand, that whenever you're setting a boundary, that can be taken as you being an asshole
Yeah,
sometimes, you know?
yeah,
And I think that is one of the problems that, and not only in acting, in music, but I think like in life general, right? That I do think that it's important for you to setting boundaries. It's not being an asshole. It's just everybody has their limits, right? And it's not personal. It's just that, or the way I think it is, the way if you're setting boundaries, you already kind of know your limits. And I think that if you kind of know your limits and put a mark on it, right?
yeah.
That is when everyone can be in a more comfortable area and not trying to, yeah, be like in a comfortable area in which everybody can work and function properly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. I totally know what you mean because I think it's also depending on how you set a boundary, but it should never be a problem for another person. And a lot of the times, people call you like or think you're an asshole for setting a boundary. Those people are mostly the ones who never respect other people's boundaries. So I think it's always like there are two parties involved. So I think it depends, of course, on how you set a boundary. I always am professional and respectful. But yeah, especially in this field of work, and especially I think also as a woman, you can be called difficult or an asshole for setting boundaries because a lot of the times people are not used to that, especially
Hmm.
in this field of work.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also, or at least I have discovered that whenever you you're setting a boundary and someone calls you an asshole, right? I have discovered that usually those type of people are they were planning or they were thinking about to use you somehow, to really take advantage, like regularly the people who doesn't have like any bad intentions at all. When you set a boundary, they're like, okay, sure, fine, not a problem.
Exactly.
But people who are trying to, take advantage to it, they will get offended or something like that.
Yeah, so people who call you asshole for setting a boundary are simply just mad because they didn't get their way.
Absolutely. Now, let's talk about self doubt, right? How do you navigate those silent moments where the imposter syndrome creeps in?
I do not have this problem anymore. I think in the beginning I had this imposter syndrome feeling where I was like at a place and I thought, oh, I don't belong here. I am not good enough. But I think that's also due to my experience and due to the fact that I have already achieved a lot of my life, even in hard times, and I had to do it alone. I gained a lot of self confidence. So I got better. I don't think I'm perfect at it yet, but I got better at knowing what I'm capable of and truly believing it. And of course, self-doubt always creeps in. And I always also think you are always in the right place in your life, in especially in this field of work when people are like, oh, how do you feel about the fact that you're not playing the big roles yet, not in the movies yet, or in big US productions, and I'm like, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be right now, and it's aligned with what I'm capable of. So, in the beginning, of course, you are not that experienced yet, so you start with smaller roles and you always get what you're capable of. So, I think once I'm able to play in big movie productions, I will get there. But I don't want to get ahead of myself, so that's why I always have this feeling of not self-doubt, but the self-assurance that I'm exactly where I am according to my capability. So I'm not doubting anymore, but I am truly believing that everything will work out once it's time.
Absolutely. Yeah. Even more badass, just saying.
Thank you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, in a world of social media, right, and constant visibility, like all of that, do you think mystery is still useful? It's still kind of a like a useful tool for actors?
Definitely social media is a useful tool as a marketing platform, but I would say maybe some parts of yourself should stay a mystery. I think sometimes the openness that influencers have on social media don't align with my belief of what an actress should show on social media. I would never get too personal because people tend to mix the person in front of the camera with the character they play, and I want to kind of keep them separate. And I want people to know me, but only the parts I'm comfortable with sharing. So a certain type of mystery, I wouldn't call it mystery, but just privacy. So people don't feel like they know you so well that kind of, yeah, maybe even mystery is the right word. The mystery is gone because it's still, I play a role in front of the camera. I'm not myself in front of the camera, and I prefer some parts of me to stay hidden, but I'm also very open in some ways.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, at the end, it's a job. You know what I mean? At
Exactly.
the end,
Yeah.
it's a job as well, and I do think it's important to keep your private life aside because it's a place when you are kind of relaxing, right? When you are kind of regrouping, when you are kind of away from all the noise and everything. I do think also that it's important for setting that boundary, basically, right? Too.
Exactly. And I also want to keep some things not just private, but I want to enjoy the moment more and not always reach for my phone and put it on Instagram because I also, of course, post personal stuff on Instagram, but very curated and just small snippets because I prefer to be more in the moment. And if I post something personal, I think it makes it way more interesting for people to see just like a little insight in my private life, or if I'm dating someone, for example, just a little insight. But I would never, for example, share breakup stories on Instagram like a lot of influencers do, or dating stories or family stuff that is too personal in my opinion, for Instagram.
More badass. I'll take it for sure. And if one day, right, your work helped someone feel seen or gave him the courage to dream again, tell me, would that be enough?
Yes. Definitely. If someday just one person would tell me, hey, the fact that you started so late in your career and just changed your whole life while you were over 30 made me also rethink and change my life and do what I love and always wanted to do, then that's totally enough. Yes. Because I think society still tells people that you have to figure your life out by the time you're 30, and then it's over by the time you're 40, and that's it, and then you're done. And I strongly believe that's not the case. So if somebody one day told me, hey, you inspired me to go for it even while I was older or in a completely different situation in my life, I'd be happy. Yeah.
There you go. I'll take it. I'll take it for sure. And for our next section, quick speed round, yes or no, super simple. I'm going to be asking you a couple of questions in which you can only answer yes, no, or pass.
Okay.
All right. Now, there's also a new rule that I just add here. If there's a question that you want to explain a little more, feel free to do it, but it only can be just one question.
Okay.
Right?
So just
Cool.
one question where I can go into more detail of my answer.
If you
Okay.
wish, you know.
Okay.
All right. So let's get started. Do you ever stay in character after the director yells cut?
Yes.
Have you ever cried in a scene that it wasn't scripted?
Yes.
Do you believe in method acting?
Yes.
Have you ever regretted saying yes to a role?
No.
Do you think awards still matter?
No.
Is vulnerability your greatest weapon as an actor?
Yes.
Do you memorize lines quickly?
Yes.
Have you ever rewritten a line in your head because it didn't feel real?
Yes.
Do you
But then I
think?
talked to the
Uh huh.
director about but then I talked to the director about it.
Okay. Do you think fame ruins craft?
No, I think fame ruins people. Can
Would you
ruin people. Not always, but can.
would you say that that depends on how mature you are up here?
Yes, definitely. Doesn't have to do anything with age, but the maturity, of course, and also maybe a little bit with the character of the person.
Can you cry on cue?
No.
And would you take a break from acting if your soul asked for it?
Yes.
Pretty cool. Pretty
Because
cool.
I
Now, huh?
strongly believe to listen to your feeling and to your health. And if you feel like you have to take a break, no matter what you're doing right now, or if it could mean that your career could maybe take a little like step back, it's totally fine. Always listen to your health and to your gut feeling.
Okay. Now, before wrapping up here, just a few more questions. Tell me what motivates you. You know, we all have those days that basically we just want to quit. It's inevitable, happens to all of us. So, how you stay motivated on a day that, it's one of those days in which you're like, ah, shit, basically,
Yeah, sure. I know those days, but I think what motivates me is the fact that I tried plan B before. I tried the other life of having a steady 9 to 5, of having everything that society told me is how you should live your life, coming home at 6 p.m., having something to eat and watching a movie, and that didn't make me happy. So I motivate myself, or literally don't have to motivate myself explicitly, but I just know the other part, the other life didn't work out for me. So it's this full stop.
Pretty cool. And my last question, so we can all enjoy and relax after an epic chat here. So tell me, what do you think that could be the best title for this episode?
You can still change your life no matter how old you are.
Gonna drop the mic because you're killing it. So,
Thank you.
I mean, at the end, what can I say, right? The fact that that you're pursuing what makes you happy, that's pretty cool. I mean, we all know, right, that starting something outside the typical 9 to 5, it tends to be like a little difficult, tends to be a pain in the butt sometimes, but you're making it happen. And I think that is super cool because, sure, you can be creating cool characters, cool stories, like all of that. But besides that, you're also showing us that dreams are possible, And I think
Yeah.
something so amazing like that, and something so positive like that is what we need in this world, especially right now in this crazy day that it's just a horrible place to live in sometimes. The fact that we can rely on people like you who are just sharing some positivity around because they're following their dreams, that is incredible. And now I discover why you're badass. So
Thank you so much. Like I said before, I hope I can inspire anyone. If it's just one person, I'm happy to not listen to what other people tell them what their life should look like or what they should do. Do not listen to those small-minded people. Could also be a nice title for this show. But yeah, you can still change your life. No matter where you are in your career, no matter where you are in your life, no matter where you live, where you come from. If you have money, you do not have money, it doesn't matter. You can still live your life. And I want to be living proof for that it doesn't matter where you come from, but it matters that you're a good person and that you have something that you want to work towards and that you stay consistent and you just try everything in your capabilities to pursue it.
Jawohl. I love it.
Jawohl.
So, Laura, thank you so much for making this happen. I do want to thank also those who stay the whole episode. Let us know what you think in the comments below. But also, by this point, come on, you should know why Laura is super badass. Let's share some love. Hashtag Team Laura. Let's follow her as well. And again, thank you for making this happen. Keep shining out there. Keep rocking. Keep kicking ass. And I'll definitely be seeing you in the next one.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.